Well, welcome back to Focus today. We talk about a whole lot of diverse subjects, things you may not have known about. We've been talking about a level of homelessness that you may have thought, well, there's people who are employed, people who aren't, and those people can be homeless. But that's not as simple as the picture might be. And our guest today is Chad McComas for this section. He's a pastor at Set Free Fellowship, also the executive director of Rogue Retreat. It is nice to meet you.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Describe what Rogue Retreat is.
Rogue Retreat is a nonprofit we started in 1998, and currently we have 42 apartments, 44 as of the first, that we help the homeless people that need a chance to kind of get their lives back together. We do case management, we do classes, we do inspections of units, and everything is designed to move people from homelessness to self-independence. They can take care of themselves.
So is this like an apartment complex, and you have...
We have multiple sites, and they each have an apartment, and it's great. It's a wonderful experience for the people that get a chance to be in it.
And you say it's been there since 90...
We started in 1998. 1998. But what we're concerned about now is the lower level of homeless, the people that are sleeping in the bushes and on the greenway and just are absolutely trapped, like falling into a well. They just need a hand up.
So what is it you're wanting to do with that particular group?
Well, there needs to be, we call it Tiny House Village, but they're happening all over the country now in different cities, like there's Opportunity Village in Eugene and Dignity Village in Portland, and there's one in Seattle. They're all over the place. And they're taking the people that have absolutely no place to go and can't help themselves, have a safe place to be, a very simple shelter, community together, and then they can begin to work on, instead of just surviving, how do I actually do something, like get a job or get an apartment or get my life back together.
Okay, so you are actually then going to be constructing little homes for this village. Is that right? Describe what this idea is about.
The first thing we need to do right now is we have to find, and we have found a piece of land, we need to buy some land that the city will qualify as a tiny house village that will fit the right zoning, the right use, which is very hard to do. And then purchase that land, then we can start working on the houses. Houses will be easy, because I know a church will come along, hey, we want to build one, or Kiwanis, we want to build one. That'll come fast. It's the land we need to get right now.
And how much land are you looking for?
Well, we're looking for, it has to be a specific piece, so like I said, right zoning. We've got a piece identified, and it will probably be big enough to do at least 15 of these to start. If we can do a prototype tiny house village, I think we can get more in the future.
All right, describe these tiny houses. What are they like?
Well, there's a picture right there.
Okay.
And so
they're very small.
Very small. They're 8 by 10, and it has to be a certain size because of, again, codes and zoning and type of thing. So very, very simple tiny house. And there's no electricity, there's no water.
Oh, really?
It's a roof, it's 4 walls. It's got a locking door. That's a big key to the homeless. Most of them lose their stuff all the time because it gets stolen. There's no place to put it.
So is this like one person per tiny house?
Could be a couple.
Okay.
So
it's got, what does it have in it? A bed?
It's got nothing in it right now.
Nothing?
I mean, it's basically...
But it would have a bed?
They would have to get a bed.
Oh,
or we would have to help them find a bed, maybe a couple chairs. It'd be very, very simple.
I got you. So it's just mostly a place to be safe and get out of the elements.
Safe. And then it's in a camp. It's in a place that's fenced off. They monitor it themselves. They have community meetings. They have an organization over it, which Rogue Retreat would be that organization. And it's amazing how successful they are.
Well, another idea then. So you've got the space, and you want to have how many of these located there?
Well, we're thinking there'll be about 15 on this one piece of property we're locating.
All right. And you say it has happened elsewhere?
Oh, yes. People can Google Opportunity Village Eugene and see what's going on there. What we're trying to do is do a challenge to raise money to buy this land, and we need the community's help. We're going to take our little tiny house, and it's on a trailer. We're going to take it down to the mall during the month of March. Okay. And we're going to do an overnight challenge. We're asking people to sign up to spend the night in the house and to experience what it might be like to live in one of these little houses. For those of us who have a normal home, we're going to say, my goodness, this is terrible. There's nothing here. No TV, no electricity, no running water. But to a homeless person, that would be a mansion. Because they're not sleeping in the bushes. They're not afraid of being mugged during the night. They have a place they can put their stuff and it's not going to be stolen. They have a roof over their head so that the rain isn't falling down on them, or the snow, or whatever. And I've got people that I know, a lot of homeless in town, that would just die to have this right now.
Wow. So how much money are you trying to raise?
We need to raise $260,000 to buy this land.
Okay. 260 for the land.
260. And we know that we can get some larger donations from some organizations that would love to help, but they want to see the community gets invested. When the community comes along and gets involved, then they'll step in.
And then do you have to buy the houses, these little homes?
Then once we get the land, then we'll start putting the word out and letting organizations take on a house.
And
Hey,
sponsor
we'll
those.
build a house.
How much do they cost?
You know, we're thinking it's going to be somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000.
Oh, all right.
Something like that.
And it looks like, you said it's, well, what, like 100 square feet, 10 by 10 or something?
Yeah, it's 10 by 8 actually, and then we have a
8.
4-foot porch, so it's very small.
Yeah. You know, this reminds me, when I saw the picture of this, I was in Jamaica, where they have done this kind of thing, where missions have done it, and it's been in a dump. Literally,
Yeah,
they have huge
absolutely.
dumps there, and they end up carving out spaces there, and they're a little bit bigger, but it's the same concept. It's people who otherwise couldn't afford it, and then they have a place where actually it's kind of a main base while they perhaps get their lives back together.
You know, if you talk to a homeless person on the streets, they spend all their energy just trying to figure out what they're going to eat, where they're going to sleep, you know, how they're going to get clean, if they can ever do that. And their energy is just zapped on that. If we can get them in a safe place, then they can put their energy on, okay, now what's the next step?
Yeah.
Do I need to go back to school? Do I need to, you know, go to job council or work source? Do I need to, you know, sign up for disability? What do I need to do to move on from where I'm at?
Okay, I want to give this information out a couple times before we're done talking here. How can people get in touch with you for this if they want to get involved?
Rogue Retreat, our phone number is 541-499-0880. You can look up the specific information on the Tiny House Village at Hopeville, HOPEVILL.org.
Okay.
And that's where you can sign up for the Tiny House Challenge.
For your Tiny House Challenge specifically. Okay.
Absolutely.
Hopeville.org.
In April, we're asking organizations to take that house, which is on a trailer, take it to their organization, and park it out front and let their employees sleep in it overnight, take turns. The first one that's already signed up is YMCA. They're going to bring it down to their location. Of course, we would challenge theDove to consider that.
We might see more of these
for a couple
around,
of days. And when you're in that house, we're asking you to use your social media. Say, here, I'm in the house. I'm trying to raise money on my behalf tonight. I'm sleeping here. Would my friends donate to this organization? You know, maybe people can donate $200 to $500 a night in there, and then away we go.
So Eugene has been doing this for some time. How long have they used
I think they're in their
villages?
3rd year on their Tiny House Village, and they've got some other camps around town now that are more of tents than houses, and it's working well.
Is that right? When would you like to get this up and running here in
As soon as we get to 260,000, we'll be up and running.
Is that right? Is that a big process to work through the city? City or county?
We've been on this for about a year.
You have. And any idea of a breakthrough yet?
I don't believe the city's going to be a problem if we get the right piece of property, and that's what we've been trying to identify.
And you have identified one?
We have identified one. In fact, I meet with the city on Friday with the planner and the marshal and the code enforcer, and we're going to look at that specific piece and make sure that will work. There's one other process, though, that's NIMBY. Not in my backyard.
Right.
You know, we have to then go to the people around there. But the piece that we've identified is in a commercial zone, which will not be houses or people concerned. There's a lot of myths of homelessness. I think you realize that. You know, most people think the homeless are dumb, lazy, they're criminals, they're all addicted, and they don't have God. You know, but none of that's true.
The experience that you've heard from Eugene, once this has been put into place, is there a tangible view of how people have been able to get their lives back on course from this?
In fact, if you go to Opportunity Village Eugene, they have a video on there, and it talks. They interview some of the people and what they've been able to do with their lives once they got safe, once they were able to have a stable place. It changed their lives. One thing that Eugene, when they first set it up, the city required that the tiny house have a security 24/7 because they were afraid that there would be problems and things.
Sure.
After 1 year with no incidences, the village went back to the city, says, do we still have to do this? This is money we're wasting. And they said no, and they haven't had any problems in 3 years.
You may have mentioned this. How many do they have in Eugene of these?
The tiny house village they have in Eugene has 30 of these kind of
30?
structures.
Really?
They do have some other tent camps which have more like a Conestoga hut that's more of a fabric frame, and but it does work, you know, and they've got 3 or 4 of those as well as the tiny house village.
Do you find that Christians in general are open to this idea, or do you have walls to break down?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I do believe Christians are, because Christians want to do something, and most times they feel helpless. They don't know what to do. You know, they really can't take somebody into their home, and the church isn't set up to take people. So what do you do with a homeless person? Oftentimes they'll give them a sandwich and, you know, kind of hope they'll move on.
Yeah.
But I think we have a bigger responsibility than that. You know, in Scripture, God's always concerned about the fatherless, the widows, and the poor. Those are people who can't help themselves. They need somebody to come alongside and give them a hand. I don't think that the church should always just be a handout, But I do think we should find ways to do a hand up. You know, how can we help our poor brother who's fallen down, kind of like the Good Samaritan?
Yeah.
You know, he's been beat up by life. He's sitting there dying on the side of the road. Do we just walk by and hope it goes away? Or do we take him somewhere like an inn where they can get some help and then get back on their feet?
Let me just ask you the structure of this kind of an idea. Is there somebody who would be in charge of the Hope Village? Because clearly somebody has to be vetted, to use a formal term, you know, to say, yeah, here's the village home you will live in.
Well, Rogue Retreat would be the nonprofit that's over
umbrella,
it.
okay.
But what you find in these tiny house villages is they actually use the people that stay there themselves to be self-government. They meet every week. They make decisions who comes in, who has to leave. They do a great job. It's democracy at its best, really. Instead of us telling them everything what to do, they have some simple rules, but they're good rules. You know, no violence, no theft. They can't use or drink on the premises. They have to meet once a week in this meeting, and they have to pay a little bit of rent every night. It's not a lot. Yeah. The homeless have some money. You know what? A lot of times they get Social Security or they get disability. They might get like $500–600 a month. But if you had that much, could you survive on that? Yeah. Where would you live? All
right, so right now you're looking to get approval from the city, but you also want people to say, I'm willing to support you. So you're in the fundraising mode.
We're in the fundraising mode, yes. We're definitely working with the city. The city's been very good to us. They're just trying to work through their own processes and requirements and restrictions as well. But we do need the community to step up and say, okay, we do believe it needs to happen in Medford. We'll help you. We'll go to hopeville.org and we'll make a donation, or we'll sign up for a night in the house and help you raise money. That's what we need right now.
And that's for like 15 of these little tiny houses, and you hope to have them up and running as soon as possible, whenever that would be?
As soon as we get the land.
All right, and so 2 ways to do it. The number, if I got this right, 541-499-0880.
That's Rogue Retreat.
Okay. You can call there, or go to the website, Hopeville, and it's HOPEVILL.org.
Perfect.
And what else do we need to know about this? Because I think this is a new idea for a lot of people. You may have been working at it for a long time, but I think people are saying, wow, I hadn't heard about this interesting idea.
Being a pastor, I've been a pastor for 40 years, okay, and I know the Bible inside out, just like all Christians do. But I never really paid attention to all the verses where God says, my heart is to help people who need help. And he gets pretty frustrated with us when we don't. Remember the story of the king who puts the sheep on his right and the goats on his left? Remember what was the distinguishing mark between the two? Well, the sheep that got into the kingdom are the ones that fed the hungry, gave water to those who were thirsty, gave clothes to those who were naked. And they said, when did we ever do that? They said, when you did it for the least, you did it for, remember what he said? You did it for me. And I think as Christians, what really satisfies us in the long run is to do things for other people. We're finding it like a whole other topic sometimes. Set Free does a whole service day on Fridays for the homeless in the community in West Medford. And the people that volunteer, they go out of there dead tired, but so excited that they got to serve people who really needed to be served. That's what makes Christians happy, service.
All right, well, this sounds great. You'll have to keep us up to date with it. In the meantime, you can get in touch with them. I'd say the easiest way is hopeville.org, HOPEVILL.org, and you can find out more about this, and we'll keep in touch with you with what Rogue Retreat is doing. Chad McComas, pastor of Set Free Fellowship and also the executive director of Rogue Retreat. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. You guys have been always good to us.
Hey, you keep us informed, and we'll let everyone know about it.
Maybe the house will be outside your door in April.
It could be, you bet. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking a little bit more about how you can change your thinking. Does your thinking need to be transformed? Dr. Paul Kreitz, our guest, coming up here on Focus Today.
I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.